What is going on, everybody? I am the FDGURU, bringing to you guys a Tuesday NBA edition of my DFS podcast. We have 7 games on the main slate tonight. 2 of them, in that after-hours slate. Again, they seem to be pretty inconsistent with which, nights they keep those late games off the main slate. And when they, keep them on the main slate. Tonight, they're on the main slate. And, again, I wish they weren't. We have a lot of questionable guys in these late games. Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Kyle Anderson, all questionable for the Timberwolves. And the Clippers have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard questionable. That game is just an absolute mess. So it would have been better if that game wasn't on this slate. But we'll roll with it regardless. Coming off of another profitable night last night. Main slate hybrid and GPP lineups easily cash because of Jokic's 95 fantasy points against the Raptors. They were down like 15 to 20 points all game long, and then you kind of had a feeling they were going to come back at the end of that game. It allowed Jokic to just absolutely cook. Freeman Liberty was an absolute bust, but it didn't end up hurting us too much because he was so high owned as a cheap play. Came off the bench, was projected to start, and then just didn't really play many minutes. Probably the last time we'll ever be rostering Freeman Liberty. Grady Dick was an easy value piece on the other side, though, in the starting lineup. And Sam Hauser scored a ton off the bench. The GPP lineup right here also did well. Karis LeVert on all lineups. The only difference between these lineups and the cash lineup didn't win last night because we had Vucevic, and he played pretty bad. The Bulls got absolutely steamrolled by the Mavericks. Luka put up a ridiculous stat line for someone who didn't even play the full game. But the after-hour slate here also easily cashed. You got this off of my Dub Club last night. I've been posting non-main slates on my Dub Club. You can sign up with the link below this video. You can get the first week for just $1. And even after that, it's still cheaper than if you were to buy these non-main slates off of my website. And then you get a bunch of other content as well. So sign up with the link below. It's a great platform. You'll definitely enjoy it. So going into tonight's slate, we've had a great March, and it's very tough to predict, March, because we just see teams rolling out guys that you really don't want to roster. It's going to continue to be like this throughout the rest of the regular season. We have top teams on tonight's slate looking like the Houston Rockets, the Washington Wizards. Those are the 2 top teams on tonight's slate. They're going to make up a lot of this video. The Rockets without Şengün, the Wizards without their center, Marvin Bagley and Richaun Holmes. So we got to get used to this. In terms of questionable guys on the injury report right now, I already talked about that Timberwolves and Clippers game being an absolute headache of questionable guys. Going to the earlier games, OKC against Indy, we have Jalen Williams, who is questionable. That could end up mattering for the Thunder. The Grizzlies have, their usual guys out. And then you have John Conchar and Goodwin questionable, so who knows what happens over there. What else do we got? Şengün is out. He had a brutal leg injury last game, but it came back. I don't know the details, but I remember reading it, and it didn't look as bad. The results came back, not so bad compared to how it looked. So that seemed like a small victory for the Rockets. No one wants to see anyone get hurt, especially an up-and-coming star like Alperen Şengün. But the Celtics, questionable guys again. We saw this last night. Drew Holiday missed last night. He's questionable tonight. Porzingis has missed the last couple. He's questionable. They came out yesterday, and they announced, their guys sitting out very early in the day. So hopefully they do that again tonight because that's a 9 o'clock Eastern game in Utah. We'll see what they end up doing. The fact that they're only 6.5 point favorites right now in Utah tells me that Vegas thinks they might sit a couple of guys again because 6.5 is a ridiculous spread in Utah. The Celtics should, just dismantle them. So we'll have to see what happens there. In terms of other stuff, we have Keegan Murray on the Kings questionable. There was an update that he just went through shoot-around this morning, so he should be okay to play. It doesn't make a huge difference on this slate. I guess if he was out, we'd probably want to look at like a Trey Lyles. We'll have to see, though. Looks like he's going to play, though. He went through shoot-around. We have a 7:30 lock tonight, so a half hour later than usual. So hopefully we get a majority of news before lock. Going into my plays here, Jaylen Green looks like the best middle to high tier spend up on tonight's slate. This Rockets team is just the best value team on this slate with no Şengün. Şengün is like a mini Jokic. He takes on so much usage. He's been playing so well as of late. When you take a guy like him off the court, every other starter is just going to look so much better. All of these Rockets are priced for Şengün to be in. So this is when we just take advantage. Not only that, but to add on to all of this, they have an A-plus matchup in San Antonio tonight. They're 4-point favorites, the Rockets are. So this game should stay close, should be pretty high scoring. Both defenses not great. 222 over-under. This game just looks so good, mainly from the Rockets' perspective. I like Jaylen Green at 7,200. He's projected for 39 fantasy points tonight. He needs 36 to hit value. He has, 50s upside. We've seen him drop a 48, a 54, and a 42 in 3 out of his last 6 games. Obviously going to have a lot more usage tonight without Şengün. He's going to be very popular. He can play both point guard and shooting guard on FanDuel. So there's just no reason not to think that Jaylen Green is one of the better plays on tonight's slate. Sticking with the Rockets at shooting guard, he can play small forward too. I never like rostering this guy. He's also a piece of shit, but we take value where we can get it. Dillon Brooks, 4,500, needs 22 fantasy points to hit value. He's projected for almost 25 tonight right now. Again, he's another starter who's going to just be, he's going to get so many minutes. Van Vliet, Jaylen Green, Dillon Brooks, they all play mid to high 30s in minutes anyways. So he's going to shape out to play plenty of minutes tonight. His price is not adjusted for Şengün to be out. He'd probably be like 5,500 with no Şengün. So the fact we see him at 4,500, I do like this play. He projects out really well. Now his game log doesn't look great. He's a boomer bust player. He's going to get you in the mid-teens or he's going to get you like 30. But again, these are all games with Şengün on the court. So with Şengün off, we're probably going to see... it's really tough to predict what the Rockets do tonight because Wembanyama's playing. I was thinking he was not going to play on a back-to-back, but since he's playing, they might have to start Jock Landale. They hate starting Jock Landale. They might get away with putting Jabari Smith at center and starting Jeff Green. They like doing a small ball lineup without Şengün. I just don't know if Jabari Smith can cover Victor Wembanyama. We're going to have to see what happens. Either way, Wembanyama is going to be able to do whatever he wants against this Rockets defense tonight because they're not going to have a guy to cover him. So I know Wembanyama is extremely expensive now, 11-4. Back-to-back here tonight, so he might have his minutes monitored a little bit. I can't get there, but if you have that money and you want the upside of Wembanyama, the matchup's fantastic. Obviously not looking at Jock Landale either. He's 5,100, so they immediately fixed his price. I don't know why. Just no chance I'm going to Landale. But regardless, Dillon Brooks looks good at shooting guard at 4,500. Small forward, we're going to go to the second best team grading out right now, in my opinion. That's the Washington Wizards in a great spot against the Grizzlies. We're projecting to see them go small ball again, starting Kuzma at the 5. They don't even have a true center without Bagley and without Richaun Holmes. Where is this game? No active center on FanDuel for the Grizzlies. They're going to put Kuzma at center. They're going to put Deni Avdija at the 4. And then maybe you see a little bit of Omarui and Patrick Baldwin, but those guys don't really benefit. The guys who benefit here, since Kuzma shifts to the 5 and they can stagger Deni Avdija at the 5, we see these middle wing guys play so many more minutes when the Wizards are shorthanded. Another thing here is the Grizzlies don't need to play big. They're without a lot of bigs. They're without Jaren Jackson. Trey Jameson is projected to start, but he even when he starts, he could end up not playing a lot of minutes. They could, end up going small ball since the Wizards don't have a center. Small forward, two very similar plays here. Bilal Coulibaly and Corey Kispert. You could go with either one. I'm going to put Kispert in this video just because he's been a little bit more consistent. He's a little bit more of a veteran, so you can kind of rely on him a little bit more. Coulibaly, their rookie, has been on and off, mainly off recently. Needs 23 fantasy points to hit value. He's projected for that. He looks like a fine play. I mean, he played 36 minutes last game in the starting lineup, but Corey Kispert's going to start as well with Kuzma shifting to the 5. So we probably, as they've done in the past, put Kuzma to the 5, Denny to the 4, and then the middle guys, the 2 and the 3, are Kispert and Coulibaly. So Kispert's $200 more, but I still like him more. He played 39 minutes last game. Kind of relies on, hitting shots, but he's going to get plenty of shots up tonight. The volume will be there. Needs 24 fantasy points to hit value. I have him as a slight edge to Coulibaly. You could go to either one. You could go to both of them. They're both going to play over 30 minutes tonight. They're both sub 5K. Just really good value plays here. Again, your non-sharp read in this game would be like, oh, they're without a center. Let's go to the backup big. That's just not how their rotations work. We see guys like Kispert and Coulibaly directly get more minutes in the absence of their centers. Like I said, because Denny and Kyle Kuzma have no problem running that front court for Washington. Power forward, we're going to go to Denny Advia. I talked about him enough in that last segment there, but 7,100 needs 35 fantasy points to hit value. His price is getting up there, but for good reason. He's been playing really well as of late. 35 fantasy points to hit value. He's projected for just over 34 tonight. So looks pretty good. Can play small forward, power forward. Again, this matchup in Memphis, it's a great matchup. 220 over under, 2.5 point spread. Even though the Grizzlies play a little bit slow, the Wizards play fast enough where this game will still see plenty of points and plenty of pace. Just a really good spot. All of these starting Wizards are in line to play 32 to 38 minutes tonight. I like Advia a lot because in the past, he hasn't always played 30 minutes. He was, a guy that played high 20s in minutes, and now he's consistently seeing 35 minutes a night, and he's been a fantasy point per minute kind of guy. Projects out really well. If you wanted to spend up on Kuzma here too, he's as high of a price as we've ever seen it, but it's warranted because he's been playing so well. 8,700 needs 43 fantasy points to hit value. He's been cooking. He's hit value basically in the last 8 games, 9 out of the last 10 games. He has 350s in there. He's averaging, mid 40s in fantasy points. So Kuzma looks great too if you can spend up on him. Again, the Rockets and Wizards just look like the best values on this slate tonight. I have no issue if you want to spend up on Kuzma. The price is pretty hefty, but I'm still comfortable with it. He's been really good, and it's a great matchup against the Grizzlies. And then for center, we're going to go on the other side of this game. Santi Aldama, the only guy that's really staying consistent in this Grizzlies starting lineup, the only guy that's not really running into any injuries. We have Luke Kennard probably starting at guard, but he hasn't been playing a lot of minutes. He kind of stinks. Jake LaRavia has been playing really well for the Grizzlies. We have John Conchar questionable, Lamar Stevens questionable. Those kind of guys don't really matter for me, though, for Aldama. We know he's going to start, probably play the 4, and it's a great matchup against the Wizards. In a close game, he's going to see anywhere from 31 to 37 minutes. At 6K, he needs 30 fantasy points. He's done that in 3 out of his last 5 games. He's got a 43 in there. Extra usage with the Grizzlies being so banged up. You could argue, with me reading the starting projecting lineup of Luke Kennard, John Conchar, Jake LaRavia, Santi Aldama, Trey Jameson, you could argue Santi Aldama is the number 1 option in this starting lineup. So at 6K, I'm definitely looking at him. You can put him at center, which is huge on FanDuel because center doesn't look like the best position tonight. I like Aldama at 6K in this matchup against the Grizzlies. That'll do it for this video, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Like the video, subscribe, hit me up about MLB early bird deals. We have opening day coming up in just a couple of weeks, so let's rev up for that. Let's continue to run well in NBA. Excited for tonight. After hours slate, probably on my dub club again, so let's cash that once again and have another good main slate. Until next time, I am the FD Guru. Peace.